We live in a world with what feels like infinite options, right? So why do we keep forcing ourselves into choosing between just two? Our challenges have become incredibly complex, but for some reason, our leadership playbook is stuck in the past, always relying on these simple either-or choices. It's time for a major upgrade to how we think.
So to really get a grip on just how broken our old way of thinking is, let's kick things off with a classic, kind of mind-bending math problem. It really shows the scale of the complexity we're all up against.
Okay, take a look at this number. 2.4 quintillion. I mean, that's almost impossibly huge. But what in the world could a number this big actually represent?
Well, that staggering number is the number of possible routes for a traveling salesman who has to visit just 20 cities. Just 20. If you wanted to check every single one of those combinations, one after the other, it would literally take centuries.
There's actually a name for this. It's called a combinatorial explosion. It's what happens when the possibilities expand so fast that you could never, ever check them all in order. And this isn't just some abstract math puzzle. It's the perfect metaphor for the kinds of challenges we face in business every single day.
So if trying to solve these huge problems one by one is basically impossible, how are most of us still trying to lead? The truth is, we're coming at it with a totally outdated mental tool. Does this sound at all familiar? We are constantly hit with these false choices. Should we focus on growth or profit? Do we want an amazing culture or do we want to move fast? Should we centralize our teams for more control or decentralize them for more autonomy?
We're basically acting like a simple light switch, It's either on or it's off. It's a 1 or a 0. We pick one path, and when that path inevitably shows its flaws, we just frantically flip the switch all the way over to the complete opposite.
And this right here is what's called the oscillation trap. It's a classic. In year 1, the big memo comes down, centralize everything for maximum efficiency. But by year 2, everyone's complaining, it's too slow, we're getting bogged down, and boom, the new mandate is decentralize. We just swing back and forth, over and over, without ever really moving forward.
Okay, so if being a simple on-off switch is the problem, then what's the solution? Well, we can find it by borrowing a really powerful idea from, of all places, the strange and fascinating world of quantum physics.
All right, let's break this down. On the left, you've got the past, the Newtonian leader. They act like a switch, they think in terms of or, and they try to solve problems one at a time. And on the right, that's the future, the quantum leader. They act like a qubit, they think in terms of and they can explore all the possibilities at the same time.
This whole new model is built on a core quantum principle called superposition. See, a qubit in a quantum computer isn't forced to be just a 0 or a 1. It can exist as both at the same time. And for a leader, this isn't some abstract physics lecture. It's the very practical, very real power of embracing the word and.
So what does this actually look like when the rubber meets the road? It means you're holding two ideas that seem like total opposites at the exact same time. For example, we will hold our team accountable to the absolute highest standards, and we will love and support them unconditionally as people. It's not a choice you have to make between the two. It's a paradox you have to learn to hold.
I know. This can still feel a little up in the clouds, right? A bit theoretical. So let's ground this whole thing in a real-world cautionary tale about how that binary, either-or thinking can lead to total disaster. So here's the story. Picture this, a client completely obsessed with lean manufacturing. They optimize their inventory down to practically nothing. And they hit what we'd call a perfect local minimum, the absolute lowest possible operating cost. They were feeling pretty smart, right? And then it happened, a tiny little disruption in the supply chain. But because they had zero slack, no buffer at all, the entire factory just stopped. Dead. See that laser focus on efficiency? It made them incredibly fragile. The solution was something that, honestly, looks like the exact opposite of efficiency, introducing inefficiency buffers. In their case, that meant keeping extra inventory on hand. What a CFO would probably call waste was actually the one thing that could have ensured their survival.
And you're going to love this. There's a fantastic physics metaphor for this exact situation. It's called quantum tunneling. The company was stuck in that shallow valley of low costs. That's the local minimum. And that inefficiency buffer? That was the jolt of energy they needed to tunnel right through the hill and land in a much deeper, more stable valley, the valley of long-term survival.
All right, so how do we tie all this together? How do we actually do this?
How do we stop thinking like that simple on-off switch and start making this quantum leap in our own leadership?
Okay, so here are the key principles, your new playbook. First, you've got to escape those comfortable but really dangerous local minimums. Second, you have to build in those strategic inefficiency buffers to create some resilience. Next, learn to hold the paradox, really live in the and. And ultimately, it all comes down to this. You have to stop trying to just optimize what you did in the past and be brave enough to make your own quantum leap. This is it. This is the one thought I really want to leave you with. The one question that can change everything for you. The next time you're facing one of those either-or decisions, just stop. Don't ask which one. The question a Qubit leader asks is, how can we achieve both?